So what is a rad tech? So let's back up and take a big helicopter view of the whole thing, because there's a lot of different titles, there's a lot of different things, a lot of different places that techs can work. So at the basic level, first let's go over the terminology, I guess. An X-ray tech is the same thing as a rad tech, a radiologic technologist, a radiographer. Um, Imaging technologist. There are some broad terms used to describe not just X-ray techs, but all techs in general. So any technologist who learns how to image the body um, is an imaging technologist. So in other words, if you're an ultrasound tech, which means you use ultrasound technology to image a patient, you're still an imaging technologist. And that's why the word radiology has started to disappear, and more hospitals are using the term imaging department instead of radiology department, because I guess it just makes more sense globally to call each thing an imaging department than it does to call it a radiology department. Um, be that as it may, I like radiology. I still think we should be called the radiology department as opposed to imaging. There's actually other departments that can use imaging besides radiology. So we're talking about what is a rad tech. I think we're most commonly referred to as X-ray techs and rad techs. We don't really walk around saying I'm a radiologic technologist. That's the name of my blog, because technically that's our official name. And there's this silly rub out there about getting called technician. Um, the argument you'll see being made is that people who work on the equipment, the field engineers, are technicians, and the imaging specialists that go to school to learn how to use them to take images of patients are the technologists. But if you if you read the ARRT article that I posted a few videos ago, you'll see that way back in the beginning, we actually were called technicians and evolved into technologists. So it's really kind of silly to, some people get really torqued about, bent out of shape about getting called a technician. It doesn't really matter. But whatever, that's here nor there. So what is an X-ray tech? An X-ray tech is a person who has gone to school and learned how to use a certain imaging technique or procedure to see inside of a patient's body to help diagnose a problem. So if you back up to, I'm a patient and I fall down and I get hurt and I go into the emergency room. The first person I see is going to be the admission desk. They're going to say, "What's your problem?" I'm going to say, "I fell down. I need to see a doctor." And then eventually they're going to take you back into the emergency room, or then you're going to probably be met by an aide. The aide or the CNA or the emergency room technician is going to take your vitals, whatever, maybe get a questionnaire. What's your problem? How long has it been? Whatever. And then there's a nurse that'll come along, maybe discuss some things with you. And then eventually a doctor will see you. And the doctor is going to do some primary and secondary assessments on you. And eventually they have to try to figure out what's wrong. And I would say the two aspects of healthcare that are most utilized to figure out what's wrong with a patient is the laboratory and radiology. The laboratory is used to evaluate the blood, because a lot of things can be determined about a patient by their blood work. And the second most utilized will be radiology, because we can see inside the body. And we have specialists in our field, the doctors in our field called radiologists, who interpret our images and give a report of what is seen in the images to the emergency room doctor to help that doctor figure out what's wrong with the patient. So an X-ray tech, in essence, is just one step in the path of figuring out what's wrong with a patient who presents with an issue. whether it be at a doctor's office, urgent care, outpatient imaging center, emergency room, wherever. X-ray techs can be in a multitude of locations, and we'll talk about that at another time. There's probably 15 different places X-ray techs can work. It's not just hospitals and doctors' offices. So this little video was just about what is an X-ray tech, because there's a lot of different words for it. So just know when you see rad tech, X-ray tech, radiographer, radiologic technologist, and then as you subspecialize into other departments in the world of radiology, like computed tomography or CT, or ultrasound or MRI, those are all called technologists also. But once you're trained and licensed in that area, you're then called, you go from being an X-ray technologist to an MRI technologist to an ultrasound technologist or nuclear medicine technologist. We're all technologists. You can call us technicians, it doesn't really matter, but the licensure does matter. And we've talked about that already. There are some states that allow you to work without a license, but it's highly discouraged. So I hope that kind of answers what an X-ray tech knows how to use X-ray equipment, and we'll keep it super simple at this level. We don't need to get into all the physics, but we're taught how to use the X-ray equipment to image the body, and then that's where we stop. We don't interpret, we don't diagnose, we don't try and figure out what we see in that image. That's the doctor's job, the radiologist's job. We take the image to the best of our ability, then we hand it off to the radiologist, and then he reads the study, interprets the study, creates a report, and hands it off to whatever doctor ordered it. So that's what a rad tech, X-ray tech does. I hope that answers that question. We'll get into all the different fields and all the other things that you can do. And let's see. Actually, that might be... Let me just hop into the course here and look and see if yeah, we'll just stop there. I want to talk about all the different things an X-ray tech can do as far as mobile, fluoroscopy, trauma, all those things, but that'll be a different video. And I'll link to some articles and videos that I've done in the comments section that kind of explain the different aspects of it. That'll help.